It costs $10,000 to open a Chick-fil-A. Not 10,000 down, 10,000 total to the company. The average Chick-fil-A restaurant, freestanding, drive-through, the ones you actually eat at, does over $9 million a year. That's not my estimate. That's their number in their own disclosure document filed this March. $9 million in revenue, $10,000 to get in. And here's the part almost nobody tells you. Half of that $10,000 comes back. $5,000 of it is a refundable working capital deposit. You get it back when you leave. So the real permanent, never see it again cost of buying into a $9 million business is $5,000. That sounds impossible. So let's run the numbers. Here's why the fee is so low. You're not buying a Chick-fil-A. You're being hired to run one. Chick-fil-A buys the land. Chick-fil-A builds the building. Chick-fil-A owns the equipment. The disclosure document puts the total project cost between $317,000 and $3.4 million. But read the fine print on that range. Almost none of it is yours. The company's own language. This includes $10,000 that must be paid to the franchisor. 10 out of 3 million. Every other franchise on earth sells you an asset. McDonald's wants you to have $2 million in liquid capital before they'll talk to you. You buy the equipment, you sign the lease, you own something at the end. Chick-fil-A doesn't want your money, they want your labor. And because they're not selling you an asset, they can be extraordinarily selective about who gets one. Reported acceptance rates run well under 1%. That figure isn't the FDD, so treat it as widely reported, not disclosed. But the structure explains it. They're not screening for capital, they're screening for operators. There are 2,795 operator-run Chick-fil-A restaurants in the United States. 68 are company-operated. That's the program. So you're in. You're running a restaurant that grosses $9 million a year, and it costs you $5,000. Now let's see what you actually keep. Start with the money coming in. Over $9 million average annual sales, not mall locations, 2,302 restaurants reporting. For context on that number, the highest grossing store in the system did over $20 million. The lowest did $1.6 million. A third of them are above $10 million. Now the fees. This is where everybody gets it wrong. Every article you've read says Chick-fil-A takes a 15% royalty. That's close, but it's not what the document says. The actual language. The base operating service fee is the amount by which 15% of the gross receipts exceeds the monthly equipment rental and business services fee. Read that again. It's 15% of the top line, minus what you're already paying them for equipment rent and business services. They just credit back the rent they're charging you. It's one number wearing two hats. On $9 million in sales, that's roughly $1.3 million to Chick-fil-A. Next, actually running the restaurant. Food, labor, utilities, everything. And here I have to be straight with you. The number is not in the FDD. Item 19 discloses sales. It explicitly says it does not reflect cost of sales or operating expenses. So this figure, 65% of revenue, is an industry benchmark for a high-volume, quick-service restaurant. It's my estimate, not their disclosure. Anyone who tells you Chick-fil-A's exact food cost is guessing, including me. At 65%, that's about $5.9 million to keep the doors open. What's left is roughly $1.8 million in net profit. And if you were any other franchise, that would be the end of the video. That's your money. Congratulations. It is not the end of this video. The additional operating service fee, straight from the agreement, 50% of the net profit, half of everything left forever. That's another $940,000 to Chick-fil-A. which leaves the operator with roughly $952,000 a year, about $79,000 a month. $9.2 million goes through the register. The person running it takes home a bit under $1 million. Chick-fil-A takes about $2.25 million in fees, and they still own the building. That's an extraordinary income. Let's be honest about that. $950,000 a year on a $5,000 permanent investment is a return of roughly 190 times your money annually. There is no other franchise in America that does that. So what's the catch? You own nothing. Not the building, not the land, not the equipment, not the brand, not the store. You cannot sell it. There is no resell. The $950,000 a year business you built has no exit value because it was never yours to exit. You cannot leave it to your children. There is no inheritance of the franchise. You are expected to run one restaurant, not a portfolio, not an empire, one. Chick-fil-A may offer you another. They're under no obligation to, and historically, they rarely do. This is the job. And the agreement itself is not a 30-year lock with an escape clause. It's a rolling term that either side can end. So picture the end of a career. 25 years, you ran a $9 million restaurant, you employed 100 people, made close to $1 million a year. And on your last day, you hand back the keys, you get your $5,000 deposit back, and you walk out with exactly what you walked in with. Nothing but the money you already took home. A McDonald's franchise is that same seat sells their store and retires on the proceeds. So, is it a good deal? Here's the honest answer. It depends entirely on what you thought you were buying. If you wanted to build equity, an asset that appreciates, that you can sell, that becomes generational wealth, this is the worst franchise in America. You are structurally locked out of the thing franchising is supposed to be for. If you want the highest paying operations job on earth, one that requires essentially no capital, where the corporate parent buys a $3 million building and hands you the keys and pays you $950,000 a year to run it, there is nothing else close. It's not a franchise. It's a job with the franchise's paycheck and none of the franchise's ownership. The genius of it, from Chick-fil-A's side, they keep the real estate, they keep half the profit, they keep the brand, they keep the right to end it, and they get the most motivated operator in the industry because you can't cash out. The only way to keep money is to keep running it well. Whether that's a trap or the best job you've ever had depends on which one you were actually looking for. Most people apply thinking it's the first thing, it's the second. Every number in this video came out of a spreadsheet, and I'll give it to you. Same model, editable, change the revenue, change the operating costs, change the royalty, and run any franchise you want through it. It's free. The link is pinned in the comments and in the description. Grab it, plug in the business you're actually thinking about, and see what you'd really take home. Everything here is from Chick-fil-A's 2026 Operating Program Franchise Disclosure Document, issued March 31st. The operating cost estimate is mine. This is informational only. It's not financial, legal, or investment advice. Next week, we run the numbers on something a lot less glamorous. Subscribe if you want to see it.